Today's video is sponsored by Plumsale.com. Plumsale offers comprehensive tools for automated document creation, designing web forms, customizing SharePoint list forms, and much more. Visit them today at plumsale.com. In this episode, I'm going to take you through everything you need to know about deploying and managing apps in the new Microsoft Teams. So are you ready to learn? Here we go. Greetings my fellow YouTubers, how are you? I hope that you're keeping well. Well, in today's episode, I thought I would take a look at Microsoft Teams apps. And Microsoft Teams has been going through a heck of a lot of changes recently. With the interface, of course, we've now got the new Teams 2 client, and we have an app platform which is incredible. And one may almost argue that Teams itself is actually becoming its own operating system. And who knows, that might be something to look forward to in the future. But for now, Teams Apps is a really exciting platform. And of course, it includes hundreds, in fact, thousands of different apps from very large vendors to very small vendors. So being able to manage these in Microsoft Teams can be quite tricky. So I'm going to talk about the user part, and I'm also going to talk about the admin part for you. So consider this, if you will, kind of a masterclass in Microsoft Teams apps. So if you've been to my channel recently, you'll notice that this week is something rather special. I've just gone over 99,000, which means I'm almost at that 100K point. And that means that if you join me this week, you will become a founder member of this learning community. So please help me. Go and subscribe, click on that subscribe button, ring that bell, and come and join us. It will be great to have you on board because I only see exciting things in the future here. Now, if you've got questions and comments about any of my topics this week, of course, just get those down below. And if you'd like to show a little bit more love, why not come and join my Patreon site? Here you'll get access to full courses, monthly Zoom calls, and so much more. Details are here. So I think without any further ado, let's jump in and have a look at managing Microsoft Teams apps. So I'm kicking off in Microsoft 365, and you can see I've got a couple of tabs open. First up then, I'm going to go to the actual Teams client itself, and you'll notice that this is the new Teams 2 client. Again, if you're still on Teams Classic, there is an option, there's a little switch on the top left-hand corner that you can bring yourself into Teams version 2. And also remind you just to say definitely download the new Teams client, Teams 2.0. It's so much faster. It's actually been written from the ground up. So when we talk about apps then, it's really a tale of two portals, if you will. First of all, we have the end user features. And from the end user features here, I can simply come into the Teams portal here and click on apps. And again, these are all my apps that I can have in my company. All of this, by the way, can be customized specifically to your company. I'll show you that in a second. And we literally have thousands of apps here that work with Microsoft Teams. Now, I'm logged in as an admin, but if you were logged in as a user, you may or may not have access to all of these features, but I'll show you that in a second. So as you see, it's super easy for me to go ahead and search for a particular app. So you can see here, I'm searching for Zoom, and I can then go ahead and I can install that if I want to. Now, many of the apps, of course, are free, but also many of them are license-based as well. So once you've installed that app, again, I can go to a Microsoft team here. Of course, one thing that you might want to do as a team admin, of course, I can come in here. Let's say I've got a team here called IT support. I can come in, I can manage the team. And again, you will have an apps tag here. And this basically shows you the particular apps that you've got at the moment. I can click on the little ellipse here that will give me more options. Again, if you want to remove that app and so on. Again, if you have the right to do so, you can also get more apps that will take you to the App Store. And you can also create what we call a webhook, which will hook in to a particular site and so on. So with that in mind, the other thing that you can also do, of course, within an actual team itself. So if I just come back into the actual team itself, I'm going to come back into, let's say, IT support. Again, I can click on the plus and I can open a new tab. And of course, I can say, hey, I want to bring in a particular app. So I might say, well, in this case, I might want to bring in YouTube. So again, I'll add the YouTube app. And then it says, hey, do you want to, I want to save that. That's fine. Do you want to search for something? So here I might say, yep, I want to search for, let's say, Andy Malone. So, and you can see there I am. So again, it will then say, hey, do you want to pin this video, for example, to this particular page? So for example, it could be a training site or something like that. So again, I can say, yeah, okay, I want to actually pin this particular video to this page, or you could just have a dedicated video to the page as well, whichever you want. So that's just showing you how a user can bring in the apps. But what about the admin experience? So what I'm going to do here is from the admin center, I come into Microsoft Teams. In the Teams admin center, I've come into the Manage Apps option here. And you can see that we have a number of options. Now, just to mention one thing called permissions policies, you'll notice that we don't have access. I can't add permissions policies. And in fact, if I try and edit these, it's mainly because these are now classed as legacy options. And you can see that they've actually moved. So they've actually moved up here into the Manage Apps option. Now, this being version 2 of this portal, you can see that we have, first of all, we've got all the apps in. You'll notice that the Add Apps option isn't here anymore. In fact, it's up here on the top right in the Actions menu. And you can see it says, do you want to upload a new app? Or do you want to go into the organizational app settings, which I think is definitely something you would probably want to do first of all. So first of all, do you want to use, and again, these are your organization settings. So this affects everybody in the organization. So let users install apps by default, that's fine. And then you've got the option to things like third-party apps. So if this is not selected, they can go in, they can select, for example, Microsoft apps and so on. Beyond that, if you want them to install third-party apps, again, you can switch this on. There is a very nice document there at learn.microsoft.com, by the way. Now, if you want default these custom apps, that's fine. Another thing, you might want to auto-install approved apps. And this is really nice. This is a new feature. So I can say, hey, I want to go ahead and manage these apps. So I can say, hey, these are the apps that I want to auto install. Again, of course, I can easily come up here and add in other apps as well. And you can see it shows me kind of the popular ones, but it shows me some additional apps here as well. So again, there may be apps that require additional setup, for example, licensing and so on. So again, and this is the reason why this is actually been switched off. So that's basically, you can approve the apps there and these will auto install for the users themselves. So as well as third-party apps, of course, the next thing to think about is what about custom apps? And can I create my own custom apps? So users, again, if you've got your own custom apps, so apps that you've maybe built within your organization. So of course, you know that we have things like Power Apps. You can create your own Power Apps, which is absolutely awesome, by the way. Now, another thing is external access. So of course, you might want to have guests on your network for collaboration purposes. And again, external access, this is something that you might need to manage, for example, in Entra ID, which I've covered in previous sessions. User requests configuration. So again, this is the little message that you can have. And again, I can customize that if I want to. And you can see any requests that need to go to an external link. Again, you can put that link in there. So I can click on Save. Now, here are my apps in my portal, and you can see that we've got a couple of tabs. So any apps that you've got plus any subscriptions that you may have. Now, you can also see that the apps we have a certification. So the certification, you can see depending on the app. So many apps, for example, might be managed by third parties because these are third-party companies. And sometimes we refer to this as shadow IT. So just before we get into adding apps, what about managing the apps that are here? So there's a whole bunch of different apps here that you can see. And for example, this particular one, I can click into the app here. I can click into the details of the app, and you can see it shows me right away who the app's assigned to, if it's assigned to anyone. At this point, I can also assign the app to a particular user. So I can specify, do I want to assign it to everyone in the organization, specific users and groups, or I could say no one. So in this example, I'm going to say specific users and groups, and I might say, let's say I've got a group called Oslo. So I've got the Oslo new starts. So I'm going to go in and assign that and just apply that. So you can see I can easily add it at an organizational level, at a group level, but you can also add it to a user level as well. So it's really quite granular. If the app needs specific permissions, I can go in and it will show me any permissions that the app has here. If the app itself has any specific settings, they will appear here. And again, some apps, as I've mentioned, have specific plans and pricing and so on, which are separate to Microsoft Teams. So you may need to go and obviously set them up. Now that we've got that app here, another thing in the Actions menu, if you wanted to block the app, you could block that app there as well. So again, that's important that you've got that management feature. So if I just go back to the Manage Apps, the next thing then is, what about adding apps here? Well, you probably noticed that I can go to the Actions menu, and if I click on Upload, it's allowing me to upload my own custom app from my own workstation here. So in this case, I'm not going to do that. And remember, if you want to manage that, you can manage it from the organizational wide settings that I just showed you. So the next thing then, what I want to do is come into the Customize Store option. Now, you've seen the store that you have in Microsoft Teams, and a common question is, can I customize this? And absolutely you can. So you can choose your own image, you can choose your own logo mark, your own background image, so if you've got a company graphic, and you can also change the color and the fonts and all of those things. So really super easy to do. The next thing then is setup policies, and you can see here that we have two default setup policies. One is the global policy that affects everyone, and another one is the first line worker policy. So if you're using tools like Azure Virtual Desktop, Windows 365, maybe an F plan, and you've not got Teams physically installed on the machine, maybe they're using the web version, again, you can have policies for those as well. I can select the policy itself. I can edit that policy, of course. I can manage the users who are assigned to a particular policy. So if I want to, I can, for example, create my own policy here. So I might create a policy for my Oslo app policy. And in here, do I want to allow my users here to upload apps? I'm going to custom apps. I'm going to say no. In addition to the Microsoft apps that are here, do I want to add in any other ones? So I might say, yeah, okay, I want to add in an app. I might want to, for example, bring in Zoom. So again, I'm going to add that and click onto the add here. You can see that every app also has its own unique ID, and it tells you a little bit about the app itself there. So again, I'm just going to click on to save there. And do I want to allow user pinning? That will allow the users to pin the app, of course. So I can do that if I want to. Now, the next thing then is I'm just going to have a quick look at the default policy here, because we've got some, again, settings. So again, if you wanted to add that app for every user, in that last example, I just did it for a particular group or a team, here you can add apps for everyone here. All right, and those will get deployed to every single user. So that's really useful to know that. The other thing, I can then say, okay, I've got the Oslo apps policy here. One thing you can do, which you might find useful, if you've created a policy, you can actually use it as a template. So I can go ahead and I can duplicate that as well. And I can actually say now, do I want to assign users to this particular policy, or do I want to bulk assign? So if you've got like a CSV file or a spreadsheet, you can bulk assign to users as well. Now, another way you can do a similar thing here, I can simply click into group policy assignment. And again, I can say, hey, I want to select, and I've got a group of new users here called Oslo New Starts. And again, it says which policy do I want to assign. So this time I'm going to say I want to assign my Oslo app policy. And you can see the rank, so which order do you want me to assign it? And again, I'm going to do that. Now you'll notice here, remember this is a cloud service, it may take a little bit of time to enforce that. So again, do have a little bit of patience with that. All right. Oh, okay, so there we go. That, my friends, as I said, is the setup policies. So in that section, we've had a look at managing apps, adding apps. We've talked about the setup policies and also customizing your store options, as well as managing Teams apps as well. Now, on the subject of Teams apps, I'm just going to go back into my team here. So I've got my team called IT support, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to manage the team. So in the team here, you have got a number of settings, of course. So you've got your members, your different channels, and then you've got your settings here. So again, I can edit the team, I can edit the logo. You've got the different member and guest permissions here as well. Analytics is always quite useful because it shows you how busy the team is. So how heavy usage, for example. And remember what I said, you've also got those apps here, and you can add more apps here as well. Okay, which is really good. All right, for searching, I do recommend adding in tags. So that's always quite useful. You can add in your own search tag, for example. So, for example, I could type in Oslo sales here. I could just add in, is this for any particular people? So I'm just going to add in Adele for this. And you can see I'm going to post this. So again, I've added in a little tag there. All right. So there we go. Now you know a little bit more about apps in Microsoft Teams. So there you have it, managing Microsoft Teams apps, everything you need to know. Hey, listen, I hope you enjoyed the session. If you did, bump the like button. It does make a difference. And don't forget to come and join us as a founder member of this community and beat that 100K mark. Okay, that's it for this time. I really appreciate you joining me. I'll see you soon. Take care. Hey, thanks so much for dropping by today. Here's a couple of videos that you may enjoy, and while you're here, go ahead, click on the subscribe button and you won't miss out.